Welcome back to This Week in Film, the weekly.
I love that theme song.
The weekly podcast where we get together and talk about the movies we've seen over the past week. I'm Nick Panunto, joined as always by Matt Lauer over the world interweb.
Hi, everybody. Hey, can I be Midwest Matt since I'm not Memphis Matt anymore?
Midwest Matt?
Yeah, it's geographically accurate.
Okay.
Nice.
We could do that. I guess I could try to figure out how to change that on the website.
Well, I mean, this wasn't supposed to be a technical thing. We can just call me Matt. That's fine.
It's like 17 steps that I got to do now. So,
But I'm not any of the other Matts. So.
You're not Matt V. Matt V, we want to send a get well soon to. He broke half of his body while he was in California recently.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Good luck, dude.
He fell off of his bike or something. I don't know. He's silly.
Ouch.
Yeah. He's okay, I guess. Spirits are high. I don't know. I haven't talked to him. He's been in a body cast or something. Could be probably making that part up, but he definitely broke something. So feel better, Matt. Other Matt still working on day shift. I see him once a week. Isn't there another Matt on this show besides you?
Montana Matt?
Montana. My brother, he's never been on the show.
Oh.
We were going to do an episode with him, but then we forgot to.
Would have been a good name.
Yeah. You should take it before he can. But then he might become Midwest Matt as another spite, and then I just get really confused. All right, so Matt, you're calling us from where today? Our first call-in episode.
From Naperville, Illinois.
Wow.
A suburb of Chicago.
That's where all the podcast plays from Naperville come from.
Truth.
All right. So, Matt, what did you see this week?
Well, I saw two movies this week, but you'll probably only want to hear about one of them because
Was one of them Guardians of the Galaxy?
It is.
Oh, great. I didn't get to see that yet.
Well, I'll keep it spoiler free.
Okay.
Yeah, the other one was The Happening, but I think somebody already covered that on your show.
I don't think we have.
Really?
No.
Well, maybe I'll just talk about that instead.
I can remember the time that we watched The Happening together.
Yeah, we watched it the right way.
We did.
We watched Lady in the Water first, and then The Happening seems like a great movie by comparison.
It was amazing afterwards. Well, without going into spoilers, tell us what you thought of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. All
right. Well, and it's probably good for me to start out by saying I probably walk into it a little bit differently from most other people. I did like the first one, but not as much as everybody else. And it really, it had to win me over throughout the movie. Like at the beginning of the first Guardians, I thought it was annoying. And then by the time it was over, I was like, hey, this really grew on me.
The cancer death at the beginning of the movie didn't win you over immediately?
It was mostly the people. I thought they were annoying. But somewhere about midway, the jokes that seemed like aspects of it that seemed cliche to me, I was getting into the groove that they were, actually doing a pretty good job at poking fun of cliches. And then I ended up, enjoying it by the end. This one, I did go into it, I went to the theater to see it because I did end up enjoying the first one. And especially for the first hour or so, I just was not enjoying it though. It's pretty clunky, and it's very. It's more driven by things about the characters than by a steady plot. But it seems like everybody gets a monologue, that sort of thing, and they all seem a little bit forced. At some point I was like, this reminds me of something. What is it? And then I realized it was reminding me of sitcoms. There were beats where I'm waiting for laugh tracks. That said, the things that were plot aspects that also seemed to be all over the place did kind of come together towards the end. And I did end up kind of enjoying it by the end. So if I gave the first one a B, I'd give this one a C+. And and yeah, it's still like it probably didn't win me over until maybe the last half hour, and then finally I was like, okay, all right, I'm having a pretty good time now.
Oh, okay. But still better than average, or
I would say if you like the Avengers, like the first Avengers, then you're gonna enjoy it.
okay.
And that's not a movie I enjoyed much. But production value is fine. It's very colorful. So there you go. It's like Trolls. That's right. Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Just like Trolls.
Now, did this movie have Justin Timberlake or Anna Kendrick in it singing their classic songs from the movie Trolls?
I remember at some point having a long discussion with myself about how it was lacking in Justin Timberlake and Anna Kendrick. So, I mean, we could have a really long discussion about that if you want.
I think it's more important that we just mention that Justin Timberlake and Anna Kendrick were in it, and that's what really drives listenership.
Good. Okay. Well, I'm glad. There were a lot of cameos and people I didn't expect to be in it. Or maybe not cameos might not be quite the right word, but few faces or voices I wasn't expecting. But no, Justin Timberlake and Anna Kendrick, unfortunately,
there's always
just should have been in it.
There's always volume 3.
Right. We can hope. But actually, in terms of things that were fun, they might not have actually been the important parts of the movie, but they were the most fun. The character Drax, the one that's played by the wrestler
Batista.
Yeah, is that right? Who it is? Yeah, sure. Him, and so he was pretty entertaining, which is funny because when you're watching a movie, you do not expect the part being played by a wrestler to be the highlight,
right?
But it was for me.
I really enjoyed him in the first one. Like that was a surprise for me too. I thought he was going to be terrible, and he was a bright light for the first one.
Yeah, and in this one, it's I wouldn't say they necessarily changed the character much, but I don't think in the first one he's actually laughing a lot. I think it's like he's so monotone. In this one, he's actually laughing a lot, but it's still his like awkwardness and his bluntness and stuff that makes it funny. And the other thing that I know everybody will probably just love is the little baby Groot, and it is adorable. So I'll give him that.
Okay. All right.
What'd you see?
Well, I saw. Well, if I'm being totally honest, the movie that I'm going to talk about I watched like 2 weeks ago, but we haven't had time. We haven't been Box your clown, and but just wanted to throw out that I watched Rogue One again this past weekend with my wife because she had not seen it.
Yeah.
And briefly, and if we want to get into it, we can. I don't think I like this movie.
Oh man.
Yeah. And it kind of pains me to say it. Like it's leaps and bounds better than any of the prequels, which I feel
pretty low bar.
I know, but I feel greedy at this point, not liking it for such seemingly small things, but and much of it we went over in the previous podcast, where we talked about it. But you and I saw it in the theaters together.
Yeah,
and I watched it again this past weekend, and I thought after I saw it the first time, when I thought when I see it again, I'll probably like it a little more. Like the weight will be off the movie, and no, I was kind of just bored through the whole thing. I was bored, like the story elements that really struggle on a repeat viewing. And I mean, visually just gorgeous. Like I love watching it. It looks great. It's just the stories. I feel like the story is just missing an emotional punch. You know how it's going to end pretty much the whole time. So like the one thing you're supposed to care about is the characters. And you really don't. Like the only one you care about is the robot. And I don't know. I don't want to rehash everything we said before because we did this once before with Batman.
Yeah.
But
Well, I kind of like I guess I feel a little bit differently about it in terms of that you're supposed to care about the characters a lot. I feel like it's more of like a heist type movie, but at the same time, those things when they're done well, like like Ocean's 11 or something like that, where they're all trying to achieve some sort of stealing something. Like the characters do need to have some flavor to them, and I think there's a reason that in Rogue One most people do like the robot and the blind guy the most, because the other characters really are kind of flat.
Yeah, like
even if it's not just about them, it's lacking that flavor.
I had completely forgotten about the fake Adrian Brody guy who flies the plane. And I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. Like all kinds of stuff like that. Just completely forgettable characters. And yeah, it just feels like a misfire. I'm really glad, like I said before, I'm really glad it exists and that they tried something new. They tried to tell a story without lightsabers and all this stuff, but the final battle, like the reason for the fight, is not there, and it's just kind of disappointing. Like I should want to watch a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I could see that. Well, and you and I had pretty different reactions. Even though you kind of enjoyed it the first time, we still had pretty different reactions, and you're coming at it as a Star Wars fan, and I've never been a huge fan of Star Wars. So that probably makes some kind of difference. But does it make you hopeful for future one-off movies?
It kind of gives me a little of both, where if they, because this movie was very successful. I looked at the box office mojo page for it the other night after we watched it, and it made $1 billion. The Force Awakens made $2 billion. So this is worldwide. And like was that what they were hoping for? Like that big of a drop off between Star Wars movies? Because if they weren't, like if the movie's like, I don't know how you could call $1 billion a failure, but if it didn't make as much as they were hoping, then they're gonna stick with what they know makes money, like lightsabers and big fights and mindless action. Whereas if this one hit their goals, then they'll continue doing experimental things with the universe.
Well, I'm assuming that they will keep doing them. I guess what I'm wondering is if, as a Star Wars fan, like you said, you're glad they tried something new. And even though you didn't care for the movie much, like you're glad they're doing that. Yeah. Does that mean that you're excited to see what else they do make as singular movies?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be excited for a Star Wars movie, but as far as like, I guess what you're really asking, like, am I going to be psyched or am I going to be apprehensive going into the theater? I think I'm going to be apprehensive. But I do the same thing with the Marvel movies too, and the Marvel movies have, I'd say they've hit the mark 9 out of 10 times, for what I'm looking for. And every time I go to see them, I spend the first time I watch them going, please don't suck, please don't suck.
Yeah.
And then it usually doesn't suck. But I still don't give them the benefit of a doubt, even though I should.
Which one didn't hit for you?
Iron Man 2 sucked.
Oh yeah, that was terrible.
There's another one that wasn't super great.
Avengers 2?
Yeah, Avengers 2 wasn't that good. It was still better than Iron Man 2. But yeah, all the other ones are fine. Cool. But then the other movie that I watched the other week, but because I watched 2 different versions of it, I'm gonna talk about it. Because this is my show and I can do whatever I want.
Be your guest.
I'm going to start a new segment called 2 Weeks Ago in Film. And I watched Ridley Scott's Alien, which is the word prescient because the new Alien movie comes out this week.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to see. I have no interest in seeing that at all. Not because of the first Alien. The first Alien is a masterpiece.
It's wonderful.
And I watched 2 different versions of it. I watched the theatrical version and I watched the director's cut because, what's the difference? And you can go online and they'll point out things like to the second. Like, here's a difference here between the theatrical cut and the director's cut. So I'm not going to really go into that too much, but I will say that the director's cut is garbage. It is terrible compared to the theatrical version. And based on what I read, when Fox was putting together the box set of all 4 original Alien movies, they said to Ridley Scott, either you make a director's cut because his Blade Runner director's cuts are very successful financially.
Aren't there like 1,000 versions of that movie?
Yeah, there are, which is very confusing right now because that new Blade. Did you see the new Blade Runner trailer? It came out the other day.
Nah, I haven't seen it yet.
It looks good. Like it's visually great. It's very colorful.
I've never actually watched all of Blade Runner. I tried turning it on once, and after about a half hour, I think I was like, oh, I'm not into this, and I turned it off.
It's really boring, but like once you get past a certain point, it's not boring.
Okay.
I tried to watch that movie about 10 times before I finally clicked with me. And I was like, this was awesome. And then I tried to watch it again. I was like, I'm so bored. So I guess you just got to be in the right mood for it. But apparently the final cut is the version of it that you want.
Okay.
But, I've only ever seen the director's cut, I don't know, of Blade Runner. But the Alien one, Fox told him, what?
Oh, no, I was going to say, you said Fox was kind of putting pressure on him?
Yeah, they said that he needs to either do it or they're going to do it for him. And so he said, all right, well, I'll just do one. And apparently he just came in and just started chopping things and dumping things in. Like, he didn't have his heart behind it. He just did it because he said, if somebody's going to do it, it might as well be me. So the director's cut is a chopped up mess. And there are some extended sequences that don't really make any sense. Like they extend one sequence where when they first wake up on the ship, John Hurt wakes up and he goes and makes himself a cup of coffee, and we watch him make the coffee, which is boring. All
man,
changes.
You're not a coffee drinker, though.
No, I'm not.
That's just coffee porn to the rest of us.
But recently, I have learned that I do really enjoy the smell of coffee. So maybe there's something changing within me.
Well,
maybe there's
still time to change. If Rocky can change, and that big dude from Rocky can change, we can all change.
We can all change. See?
Dolph Lundgren.
So, like I was saying, it's just chopped up mess of a film. The theatrical version is the superior version. And that's really all I wanted to say about it. There's nothing that I can say about Alien that hasn't been said 1,000 times by 100 different people, more intelligent than me. But man, is it build a world so fast in terms of world building and lock you into it that in the first 10 minutes of the movie, you know who all the characters are, except for the alien. And spoiler alert,
whose name is Steve.
Yeah.
Which you find out by the end.
I'm going to bite you.
Steve the alien.
I'm going to get you with my little mouth. And and in fact, I was watching somebody do a review. I think it was a YouTube guy. Chris.
That guy.
Chris Stuckman.
Chris Stuckman?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stuckman.
Yeah, you told me about him. He did a YouTube. He did a review on YouTube of Alien recently, and he said he made a good point where he says you don't know who the main character is of the movie until only Sigourney Weaver is left.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And I was like, wow, that's a great point. And then after it was his review of the movie that got me to watch it, because he was talking about the differences between the theatrical and the director's cut. And I was like, well, I'm going to check it out for myself. And so I did. And he's absolutely right. You really think that Tom Stoppard, is it Tom Stoppard?
Oh,
Tom Stoppard's a writer, right?
I'm not good with names.
Oh my God, I can't remember his name. Let's just call him Tom Stoppard, the writer. Is you think he's going to be the main character because he's the captain of the ship. He's first of all, he's a guy. And,
wait, are you talking about Tom Skerritt?
Tom Skerritt, yeah.
There we go.
Tom Sizemore. And
Tom Hiddleston, right?
Tom Arnold.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I want to see Alien remade with Tom Arnold as the alien.
You know, you think it's going to be Tom Arnold. He's the captain of the ship. He's in charge. Everybody listens to him, and it turns out it's just the communications lady who lives on the ship. If this movie were a Star Trek movie with like the original crew, it would have been Uhura is the hero of the movie, which I think even in the late 70s that was pretty novel as far as being a progressive movie. Having a female lead and all that stuff. So it's a very great example of storytelling without a lot going on. And even Alien, like the theatrical cut, which is fine, has a lot of garbage in it too. Like all the stuff with the android is dumb. Like there's a lot of conspiracy, like all this stuff. Like it adds to the movie, but it's unnecessary, but I like it.
I don't. There's that's one of those movies that to me it's like Jaws. Like to me, it's perfect, and so I've never thought of any of those parts as being like silly or anything. I think there's a lot in the first Alien, as opposed to Aliens, that I guess you might say it's not necessary, but it still adds something in terms of atmosphere and context for the characters.
Yeah.
So that's my part.
Yeah, well, I would agree. I mean, and if you want to transfer what the people on the ship are going to, you could compare it to like one of those Deadliest
Saved by
Catch
the Bell episodes.
Yeah. Like the episode where Screech gets a job on the Deadliest Catch. And but yeah, if you take a ship like the Deadliest Catch that goes out to sea, they're isolated, they're alone. You could pretend like the crew is in the middle of space. They can't get home anytime soon, and they have a job to do. Everybody on the ship gets a share. Like people that could complain about wages based on the work that they have to do compared to what the captain's doing up there and all that stuff. I think you could make that kind of comparison about the movie, and then imagine if an alien attacked the crab fisherman.
Well, I was going to say, I'd totally go back and watch The Deadliest Catch if there was like a giant crab that started eating people.
Yeah. But yeah, Alien is totally worth watching. And while we're on the subject of aliens, I also watched the movie Contact.
Yeah.
I love Contact. I love it. I know you don't really like it.
I actually saw it twice. I think I saw it twice in the theater. I enjoyed it. I just didn't really dig the end. And then now that Arrival has happened, I just am like, well, Arrival is what I wish Contact was. So that's my thing on that. So anyway, but you loved Contact. Go for it.
Yeah, I love Contact, and Alien needs no introduction, but perhaps Contact does. Jodie Foster she works for SETI, I guess, and she listens for alien communications, and they get one. They get this signal. It's broadcasting from a nearby star. They're able to decipher the message, and it's to build this giant machine. They don't know what the machine's going to do. Jodie Foster goes in also Tom Skerritt is in this movie.
I did not remember that.
Yeah, he's the jerk, the guy who works for like the president who takes her job from her and all that stuff. He's kind of the antagonist besides James Woods.
I didn't know that James Woods was in it either.
He plays the Michael Flynn character. He's like the national security advisor.
Gotcha. I know.
I'm sorry, Michael Flynn is no longer the national security advisor. There's a lot of news.
Well, whoever is probably won't be for very long either.
No. Jake Busey. Jake Busey blows up the machine. Spoiler alert. Yeah, we're going to talk about the movie Contact. So turn it off if you don't want to know about it. Jake Busey blows up the machine.
Spoiler alert, Matthew McConaughey's in the movie.
Matthew McConaughey is there. And there's another one. Jodie Foster goes to an interdimensional picnic on the beach with her dad. And anyway, so you were saying her dad, or the way the movie ends, where she's on this other world, and what I really take from that scene isn't so much that, hey, we don't understand you at all. We don't know who you are, but while you were asleep, we downloaded your entire brain, and this image weighs heavily in your mind, and you're the only one of your species that we've come across, so we figured you'd want to talk to this person. We thought that the speaking through him with us, through this computer generated image of him, would be easier for you than giant tentacle monsters. And what I take away most from that entire scene isn't so much that early in the movie they ask Jodie Foster, what would you ask them when you meet them? What will you say? And she says, well, I'd ask them about, why are we here? What is our purpose in this universe? What's the reasoning that we're all here? And the alien doesn't know. He has no idea. The way that she gets there through the interdimensional highway or wormhole system, it was set up by another species that has long since gone extinct. And these aliens that she's speaking to are searching for the same answers. And I think that they were hoping that Jodie Foster would have them. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't. And so the idea is that nobody knows. There's no That's higher power out
disappointment
there.
For them.
Well, yeah, but they're better at it. But I think it's a very heavy mindset that, like, even if you come across this unbelievably advanced civilization, they still won't have the answers that you want.
Right. Yeah, they're still going to have the same existential questions.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how much you know if you don't have the answers that somebody wants to ask.
Now, it's been, like I said, I saw it in the theaters, and I haven't seen it since. But I seem to recall that movie being very long. As an adult, does it feel well-paced?
I think it's perfect. I think it's great. It is very long. It's about 2.5 hours long. There's probably a few things here or there that could be cut out, but I really enjoy it. The movie is based off of a book that Carl Sagan wrote.
Okay.
And I really loved the book when I was a kid too. I read it before I saw the movie. So I appreciated like all the little detail touches. I couldn't tell you anything about the book today other than like the Jodie Foster character was in it. But you know who's not in the book is Matthew McConaughey. They invented...
I thought you were going to say Justin Timberlake and Anna Kendrick.
Yeah, but they put Matthew McConaughey in the movie to represent a whole bunch of characters. And I think they did a great job. Like they forced this love story into it, but it's not too bad. I like the Matthew McConaughey character. I think he's handled very well.
I was going to say, I thought I remembered feeling like the romance side of things was a little forced.
Yeah.
I also, back then, I like hated Matthew McConaughey's guts. So that might have tainted things a little bit too. And then at the end, when the guy who plays her father is there, I don't know if anybody would remember this, but he was in a terrible Stephen King TV movie called The Langoliers.
Yeah.
And I think when he showed up, suddenly I felt like it went from being a legit movie to being like something made by Lifetime, just because I only associated with him with this really cheap Stephen King movie. So maybe it's time for me to crack out Contact again and give it a shot.
I would recommend everybody watch it 40 times. Yeah, my wife wanted to watch Nocturnal Animals. or not? What is that? Amy Adams.
No, I
movie?
think you're right. I think that's what it is.
Or is it Nocturnal Creatures? One of those has to be a horror movie. And
I think you're right. I think it is Nocturnal.
I was like, I don't want to watch this right now, like, because I know I'm gonna have to really pay attention and stuff. Because Ray raves about it, and she goes, "Well, what about Contact? You want to watch Contact?" And I look at her and go, "I always want to watch Contact. Let's put it on." So
that's impressive, because I can't say there are too many 2.5-hour movies that I always want to watch.
Yeah, it's
Wait, how long is Jaws? Is it 2.5?
It's probably 2.5. Yeah,
that's the exception.
Yeah, like I could always watch Jaws, Contact, Shawshank,
Jurassic Park.
There's probably a few others where if someone just suggests it,
what?
You know what's really a shame is they never made a sequel to that.
But thank God, because what if they were terrible?
Yeah. Remember that game where he's climbing the ladder and he's all weird?
No.
There's like a Matrix video game where whoever your character is climbs up a ladder and he looks like a spider monster.
Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah, that's coming back to me now. Was that Enter the Matrix?
I think you're right. Neo? Something like that. Yeah.
I know we played a couple of those games and one of them was really good.
I think it was that one, the one with the goofy ladder. That's the one we played for 30 hours straight, and we beat it and then said, well, I'm never playing this again.
Right. They're done with that.
Well, this has been This Week in Video Games.
Well, okay, so if we want to do a little side project on that, I'm going to go with, there is one game that you and I played way back in the day that I would recommend to anybody who can get their hands on a Nintendo GameCube. And that is a game called Eternal Darkness.
Yeah.
And that game, I don't want to spoil any of the things that happen with it, but it messes with you as a player in the room. Like, it's sort of 4-dimensional.
Yeah. If you could get a copy of Eternal Darkness and a GameCube, although if you have a Nintendo Switch or a Wii U or whatever, you could probably just download it. I don't know how. I don't have a Wii U or a Switch.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah, don't look up anything about the game. Go into it as blind as you can, and it is a pretty fun experience to play it. And I'm really surprised they never followed that up with anything. There was no sequel to that game.
Well, it's got so many creative and clever tricks. Maybe they used them all. Maybe they're like, well, we couldn't come up with new things like that.
That's true,
how things should end, rather than just beating things to death.
Yeah, that's true.
But the longer you play the game, the more it starts, the more creative it gets with how it messes with you. There were a couple times where Nick and I would be playing, something would happen, and we would look at each other and go, oh my God, what do we do? But it wouldn't even be like, how do you get through this thing in the game? It would be like something went wrong.
Something went wrong, yeah. And you're just in shock because you're grinding out a game over a weekend or whatever, and you're like, all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah, you're lost.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been This Week in Video Games and Film. You look very concerned. I can see your face. I know you can't see me, but you look very concerned.
I don't know what that means. I'm surprised you can see me because I'm in a closet and it's dark.
You look great.
Nice. Thank you.
Viewers at home, Matt looks great.
Yeah. Nice. Thanks, Nick.
I also look great.
Do we, with the few minutes that are remaining, did you want to do one round of movie versus Batman versus something?
Batman versus movie, Dawn of Movie?
That's the one.
Sure. We could do that.
And I know, well, wait, do you want to give it a try this time? Do you want to name a movie?
You name one first.
Isn't that what makes it hard for you, though?
Yep.
Okay.
So does the naming one blind, though, so.
Okay. How about 3:10 to Yuma?
Ooh, that movie's great. And then I'll say Tombstone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's rough because 3:10 to Yuma is
Excellent.
That's a really, like quality wise, that is super quality. But Tombstone hits all the good nostalgic, it's the fun version.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, in Tombstone, I mean, I know at this point, there are probably, especially like younger people, don't even know how great Val Kilmer was. But Tombstone has Val Kilmer in it, just killing it as Doc Holliday.
If that movie didn't have Val Kilmer, I don't think it would be as well regarded.
Not at all. Not at all.
Like anybody else in that role would have probably sucked. Just been way too hokey. And especially, have you looked into the production history of that movie at all?
I know a few things about it. I know it was competing with Wyatt Earp, and that I think Wyatt Earp, the people who were making it bought all the Western costumes in Hollywood, and then the people who were making Tombstone had to get their costumes from another country and stuff. But I don't know much else.
The director got fired from the movie, and then the guy they brought on wasn't very good, so Kurt Russell basically directed the movie.
Oh.
Like a whole bunch of
Kurt Russell.
Yeah, it is but the hokiness of it, because it is pretty hokey, is tonally perfect. Like it all works. It shouldn't. It really shouldn't, but it's so great.
Yeah, it's one of those few movies that can have some drastically different flavors and not feel like it's confused about its tone.
Yeah.
And if I could take one thing out of the movie, it would be the dialogue that involves Dana Delaney's character and Kurt Russell's Wyatt Earp.
Is that the actress?
To each other. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just get rid of her altogether. She's really the worst part of the movie. Not because the actress did a poor job or anything. It's just I just don't care for her. I want more everything else, but like all that stuff happened.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, and that's the other thing about it. It's for a movie that is as corny as it is. You would think that it's very inaccurate, and apparently it's not.
Yeah, apparently it's very. The facts are pretty much right.
And the moments that have like action going on or sort of dramatic interplay between characters are really, really good at that. Like the hokey moments do not take away from. Like the shootout at the OK Corral, that's an exciting scene.
Yeah. And when he's hunting down all the Red Scarf gang guys, that montage is just perfect. And it's got the Western music, like lots of like flutes and brass instruments, but it has the soundtrack of a movie much older than it, like a movie from the 50s, like a Western from the 50s, but with the sensibilities of the 90s.
And a lot of people in their prime, like you got Val Kilmer, but you also like I don't know if you've seen much of Powers Booth since back then, but with him and Michael Biehn and the Cowboy Gang, like they're awesome.
Yeah, that was kind of like right at the end of Michael Biehn. Like I don't know what happened to him. Where did he go?
I saw a review of some movie that he was in that was like a straight to DVD kind of thing. And it didn't look great for him. So let's just pretend he retired and he was like, I'm gonna go do fun things now that I'm rich off of my acting.
I love it. But 3:10 to Yuma is another excellent Western.
Yeah.
With Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. Just a bunch of English and Australian guys running around in the Old West.
Yeah, and sort of a slow burn, but a really consistent.
Yeah.
Like it really you can feel it congealing throughout the movie. Like weird comparison, but with the Guardians of the Galaxy thing, I was like, man, I need to feel like this is coming together, and it took a long time to go like, oh, okay, this is actually paying off.
Yeah.
Throughout 3:10 to Yuma, you can feel it. You're like, this is going somewhere good.
Yeah.
And it does.
The 3:10 to Yuma does a really great job of establishing the ticking clock. I mean, I know they have to make a certain train at a certain time in order to get him to jail and all. But like every minute that goes by in the movie, there's more and more and more tension. And I mean, there are a few moments of levity here and there, but for the most part, everything is building up to that final scene, and you really don't know how it's going to end because of everything that's happened in the movie. It could go either way.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like you can tell it's going somewhere, but it doesn't feel predictable or anything.
Right, and it's satisfying too. It doesn't feel cheap.
Oh man, this is going to be a hard vote.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Tombstone just because Tombstone's another movie that I could put on whenever it's on.
See, and I think I've got to go. Well, I think quality-wise, I have to go 310 to Yuma. But as far as like a movie I want to put in the DVD player at any point in time, that's Tombstone. I've seen it. I saw 310 to Yuma once. I've seen Tombstone probably 30 times.
I've seen 310 to Yuma a few times. I'm still gonna have to go with Tombstone.
And I'm thinking right now, like, I'm gonna watch one of these movies tonight, and it's gonna be Tombstone. So yeah. I'm gonna go Tombstone too, but it's with the qualifier that I know 310 to Yuma's better.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, 310 to Yuma's the better directed movie. It's the better acted movie. It's got a better story. I'm gonna go with Tombstone.
Now, I don't know that when it comes to the acting, I think 310 to Yuma consistently across the people is better acting, but Michael Biehn, Val Kilmer, Powers Booth, and even Kurt Russell in Tombstone, I'm like, I don't know. They are drawn back by rest in peace, Bill Paxton.
Oh yeah.
And Dana Delaney. Oh yeah, Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott.
He's great.
He plays Sam Elliott.
So I'd say like the highlights in Tombstone balance out the drawbacks, but so I'd say acting wise, I'd say they're actually sort of even.
Oh, okay.
But okay, Tombstone. But you know what would be a good comparison with 310 to Yuma is Master and Commander.
Oh.
So maybe sometime in the future.
Yeah, maybe a future movie versus Dawn of movie.
Dawn of Justice.
Dawn of Wonder Woman. We'll have to see that.
Oh yeah, I'll have to see that one. Yeah.
Really looking forward to it. All right, Matt, I know you got to get going. You have anything to plug? Mental health, of course, and
mental health. Everybody, if you're feeling like you're stuck, go call a therapist or listen to some podcasts. There we go. Tara Brach, TaraBrach. It's like $40,000 worth of free therapy in podcast form. She's a Buddhist therapist on the East Coast. They're awesome. So check those out.
Okay. And check us out at thisweekinfilm.com. Rate and review the show. I think that's about it. Matt, thanks for joining us for our first ever phone-episode.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It was fun.
We'll see you soon. If that's the end of the reel, we'll see you next week in film.
Sounds good.